Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're gathered here to talk about small business security. What's new in 2026? Cybersecurity is one of those terms that a lot of people get confused over and they shy away from it because they don't understand it. So today, instead of just calling it cybersecurity, we're going to call it business security. We're going to be starting to make your business cyber safe. Uh, And in doing so, we're going to talk about who we are, what is business security, the tools that are being used, and how they only detect known vulnerabilities, compliance, what is it for? Artificial intelligence. Wow. Yeah, that came up out of nowhere, didn't it? And if you haven't been paying attention, you need to start now. Changing the threat landscape. So today I'm able to present this presentation to you on behalf of my COO, Maggie Dillon, and myself, Albert Whale. I'm the CEO. We're with IT Security Solutions. A little bit about me. I'm an international award winning author, speaker, coach, and cybersecurity and zero trust professional. I am a veteran of the United States Navy. There's my ship on the screen there, USS Chicago, heavy guided missile cruiser. And I was probably on the last Westpac cruise before they mothballed it because it was so old. It had a lot of problems too. Three cracks in the hull, you know, things like if you don't pump the bilges, it'll sink. Dumb things like that. But we managed, right? Here you'll see that I've worked with red teaming events for Hack the Pentagon, Hack the Air Force. I actually taught what is cybersecurity and software security to the U.S. Air Force, its developers, program managers, and other people that were involved. And down on the bottom right is my picture with uh, Governor Tom Ridge. He is the first secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. Met him for lunch in Pittsburgh and got to take a picture with him as well. I mentioned that I'm a published author. My first book, Hashtag Hacked, talks about the cybersecurity tips to help protect your personal or business information. Hashtag Hacked won the Data Protection Award. And it was my first book that I completed in 8 weeks. Right after publishing Hashtag Hacked, I had 12 consultants come to me and say, "We want to be in your next book." Now, I didn't know that there was a next book, but we gathered the consultants together and, I gave them all a task to do one chapter. That's all, just one chapter each. So it's full of golden nuggets, and you should go out and get a copy because we're talking about different things that deal with threats to your business and privacy. And if you're interested in getting into cybersecurity, you'll see a perspective of what is cybersecurity from 12 other influential consultants. Now, the problem that we have here is that we're doing the same thing over and over and over again using the same tools but expecting different results. As you can see, Albert Einstein was noted to say that that's the definition of insanity. Well, that's just rock star material there, right? Traditional cybersecurity tools that come out include the compliance auditing, promotion of new apps with vulnerabilities, and DevSecOps. Corporate policies without commitment or accountability. So if the management or executive leadership of a company doesn't give teeth to the cybersecurity requirements, nobody's going to adhere to it. It has to have some kind of backing by the executive leadership for it to have any value. Inadequate testing of the organization. We'll go through this and talk about it a little further. Reactive tools. What's a reactive tool? Reactive tool is something that looks at what happened already, then it tells you about it. So it's reporting about what it knows happened, but it doesn't report about what it doesn't know that's happened. Seems like a hole there, right? Vulnerability management. This is another great definition. Comes to me all the time. I don't manage vulnerabilities. I remediate them. I mitigate them. I remove the vulnerability because managing it just makes it another target for the attackers to exploit. I've dealt with a lot of red teaming events, worked with a lot of organizations, and I get told time and time and time again, you know, that's great information, Albert, but that's not in scope. Oh, but it is because the attackers are going to use it. And they don't care what you define as the scope. Everything's in fair play, according to them. So I've come up with a new terminology and definition for insanity, and that's using traditional security tools and expecting that you are secure. That's the new definition for insanity. Now, I liken everything that's going on today to the Matrix. And this is Morpheus, where he's giving Neo the choice of the red pill or the blue pill. Which would you take? The red pill, you get to see reality as it is. You stop being in the Matrix. You stop believing everything that you're told is true. And you see for what it is. The blue pill is you go back into your slumber. You live in that matrix of events that are controlled by others, not yourself. And they tell you what to think and do and when to do it. Now, I'm going to take a second here. I'll be right back. Okay, thank you. So, business security, remember, we're changing cybersecurity to business security. Using traditional tools, they are not detecting anything but known vulnerabilities. Compliance. What's compliance for? We have NIST, PCI, HIPAA, High Trust, CMMC. These are all great groundstorm events to get you started, get your organization ready for security assessments and audits in order to make sure that you're compliant. I wanted to bring this picture up to you because the iceberg over on the right-hand side shows 10% of the iceberg out of the water. Let's liken that to the known threats. Well, if we only know 10% of what's happening, the other 90% is going on, but we can't see it because it's unknown threats. That's why I'm promoting a change from reactive to proactive security and doing it in a continuous monitoring environment. So, what is cybersecurity problems that businesses have in the small business world? Well, first of all, there aren't enough cybersecurity professionals, or at least that's what we're being told. The second part of that is small business runs with a very lean staff, and everybody wears multiple hats. Now, in the cybersecurity or business security world, we generally don't let people cross paths or own more than one thing once they've gotten so far into the business world. Probably when you get above 5 employees or $5 million, you're looking to protect those resources and the strategy that you're using for cybersecurity and keeping the business running. A lot of organizations use the IT staff, but IT staff and cybersecurity teams run in different circles. The IT department works with tangible items, phones, computers, desktops, microphones, switches, routers, and hubs. Oh my. While the cybersecurity professional tests software for invisible threats. Sometimes it's the OWASP top 10. But these defects allow attackers to break into the software and gain control of the systems that are running the software that's on it. Today's tools cannot see the threats inside. They look for known threats and weaknesses. Excuse me. The known threats are great. Looking for a known threat is fine and dandy. The adversaries use this all the time, and they're inside your environment right now, but they're invisible. The last problem that I have for businesses is that testing is normally performed without the users. I've heard many different stories on why businesses do this, and I'm just going to call foul on it. Look, the problem is keeping the users out of the environment while it's being tested. Yeah, that might slow them down as far as getting their performance done, their projects done, but it doesn't test the entire organization. And it certainly doesn't test what's going on with the users inside the network. Because every time that there is a breach, people are involved. Whether it's people that are controlling the environment, using the environment, or maybe they're clients, but there are people involved all the time. So testing an environment without people, that's kind of a fake test to my mind. Let's go look at some of these issues. So the one staffing problem that we seem to have is 3.4 to 5 million professionals missing today. The other problem is the cost of full-time professionals is high, and small business needs to be competitive to stay in the marketplace. Now, they can use IT MSPs, but the MSP, managed service provider, isn't generally focused on cyber work, on security operations, on solutions to maintain a secure environment. They're going to tell you that they've got this mixed up every day from Sunday. And I happen to have many MSPs that call me and say, Albert, we just saw the mouse move on the screen. Yeah, nobody's touching the mice. What's going on? So if you don't know, they already had attackers inside. And I have a series of videos on that. It's called Problem Solved. They're on YouTube. Send me an email. I'll send you a link. Or just look for IT Security Solutions. There's plenty of videos there for you to peruse and see how we define the problem and how we define the solution. So going back to the problems, IT professionals are not cybersecurity aware. And I say this because IT departments work with tangible items. You can see them, you can touch them, you can feel them. Business security, on the other hand, you can't touch software, can you? Can you touch the cross-site scripting that goes on in that software in order to gain access to either the client or the server? Yeah, I didn't think so. So these are not tangible items. These are nebulous concepts. It's kind of like quantum physics. You have to understand what's going on in order to protect the environment. That's why cybersecurity is different than IT. Besides that, the IT professionals are already faced with a very heavy burden of patching systems, expanding networks, and adding new employees to the roster. Cybersecurity needs to use different tools than traditional IT uses. And possibly they should probably report to a different executive. They should report up above IT, not directly to IT. So today's tools cannot see the threats inside. What do I mean there? The whole list of known threats is sponsored by the government in a MITRE database, which is available to all the security tools at this time. So all the tools connect to MITRE. They find out what the sequences are that they're looking for. They match it to whatever they have in their hand from the network traffic, and they can identify whether there's a known vulnerability or not. This process with today's firewalls and value scanners are 4% effective. 4%. If you're running your business on having 4% of the cash flow, how long will you be in business? Today's tools focus on tomorrow's attacks because they're looking for an artifact before they could say that there was an intrusion, before they can say the attackers already got inside. And that isn't going to be today because anything that's been deposited today is already done. Look, an attacker will deposit a file, or maybe it's file lists on your computer, and that file will execute a series of commands to modify that computer so that they can have backdoor access whenever they want, even after you recycle it. Recycle being power cycling, turning it off, turning it on, unplugging the network, plugging it in. Those attacks continue because the attacker has modified the system to make it available for them. And today's tools are based on known threats. So what happens if I take a known threat, change 3 bytes in the code? Maybe I add 3 no-ops, or wait instructions, like milliseconds. Now I've modified the threat, but it's no longer identified with the checksum, so it goes invisible. Unknown and existing threats can't be found. What about the built-in threats? What do I mean there? Does everybody have one of these? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So most of our technology is being assembled or manufactured overseas. And yeah, that's right. It's in China, right? And the Chinese Blue Army has 3 teams that rotate shifts, different let me see, expertise levels. They have the scanners, they have the testers, and then they have the attackers. And those teams work together so that they can get as many systems under their umbrella and under their control as they can. That doesn't stop them from getting into Fortinet systems, Juniper networks, and several others. This is the game changer. You've heard that AI is out there. It's been around since the 60s, but you haven't heard too much about it because it was only for governmental resources. Well, a lot of AI is now available by subscription. So you can go to your local cloud provider and ask them for AI access, and there you go. You have control of the AI entity. And now you can look for vulnerabilities faster than most businesses can fix. Back to the original problem of testing without users. Vulnerability and penetration scans are performed without the users, and they're always present when there is a breach. That breach could be because an IT guy didn't configure the firewall correctly, or maybe they didn't add or remove the root password from access from anything other than the console. Any way you look at it, that's still a threat. So, how do we manage this risk? Well, a lot of people say you need a baseline. Well, you do, because if you don't start with something, then you don't know where you are. So, penetration reports are great. They're fantastic until you put them on paper. And as soon as you do, what happens? Well, the users get involved, and now the network's changed, and new traffic comes in, and nothing is the same. So as soon as the report's written and things go back to normal, everything's obsolete. The only way to continuously protect yourself is to constantly monitor the network activity. How do you protect your environment when you're not there? Well, you need something that's going to do this continuously. And you thought virus scanners and firewalls would do it, and I just showed you how they don't. And once you find the issue, how do you fix them? Well, this is all going to change, and I'll show you how. I employ Occam's razor because it says the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. Compliance doesn't equal security. You could say all day long, we're NIST compliant, we're FISMA compliant, we're HIPAA compliant, but that doesn't make you secure. Those are two totally different things. You can write reports that are 1,200 pages long or 1,200 lines. Do you think anybody's going to read that? So, would it be more valuable to have 60 lines instead? I mean, if you could do it with less, certainly write the report with less assessment risks available. 1,200 seems like nobody's going to look at it, and it's going to do nothing except sit on the table or on the floor. Mitigating threats and attacks in real time is better than all of the reactive tools put together. Think about that. If I have reactive tools and the tools tell me that an event has already happened, how do I stop it? You don't. It's already happened. Events that are not observed. We talked about only seeing known threats and known events. But if it doesn't have anything there, then how are you going to see it? You don't know how it's going to come out because you can't see it. Continuous monitoring mitigates and mitigation. Continuous monitoring and mitigation beats scanning logs to find activities that may or may not have a configuration assigned to it. So that's why we created ITS SAFE. It's a security appliance that provides continuous protection, requires no additional resources. It's configurable for small, medium, and global operations. It does not require IT to make updates or apply patches that can all be done remotely by our team. And it blocks attacks by malware, Trojans, DNS queries, and more immediately. As soon as we see it, it is taken out of service. It is blocked. This is an instant upgrade for AI and quantum computing protection, because as soon as we see bad things happening, we're going to stop them. This is how we see what the current tools are doing and what we're doing that makes it different. So over here under security methods, we have a security assessment, and that's done today. And like I said, the report is valid until the ink is dried. As soon as the ink is dried, it's no longer valid. You see, it's only good for today, and there's a circle around it. Security tools look for events to occur with known threats and known exploits. They can look at today and tomorrow. If they don't see a threat, there's no threat to them. They only know what they can see. They can't know what they can't see. But ItSafe is different. We take a look at live traffic, which allows us to determine, did something happen yesterday? That's the past. Is something happening today? That's right now. And we'll block those events so that it doesn't happen in the future. We take care of past, present, and future with one device, continuously monitoring. Here's another way to look at this. It's just a different chart. Talks about managing your risk and, the unwanted things and activities. These are just some of the elements that we take care of. So where does this fit? Well, it fits in every system that has a connection to the internet. This ITS SAFE appliance, you see the box right here. It looks like a switch. Sits in between the network firewall and the first network switch. It sees all live traffic coming in and going out of the network. That's the only way you're going to be able to see all known and unknown threats. The unknown threats are the key. So, a lot of businesses work with other companies because we have found that everybody can't be everything to everyone, right? So you buy software from somebody else or other activities that these people have figured out how to build these products. Third-party vendors build all of the equipment in your organization. That's right, they did. Software is now cloud-based, not run from your computer. And that includes software like SolarWinds, Workday, Salesforce, Microsoft. They've all had huge breaches. Vendors deliver their goods via internet connections. What level of security do they indicate that they have? If you've not asked the people that you're buying software or technology from how safe their systems are and asked to see a report, that's a bad day. So, how do you evaluate your vendors? And how often do you want them to be assessed? Well, our new third-party risk program aligns itself with the CMMC, that's the Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification that CISA has developed for the Department of Defense, or now known as the Department of War, and all contracts with the U.S. government. So all vendors that work with subcontractors must go through a CMMC certification to prove that they have the capability to see and manage threats in their environment. By the way, ItSafe supports 27, I think there's 45, CMMC Level 2 requirements. That's significant out of one appliance. ItSafe also is able to see all of the countries that are within your network. What am I saying here? Well, long ago, it was just you in your on-prem computer environment, and you had a web page, and people went to the web page, and your business was safe because everything was in your on-prem environment. With the cloud environment, what we're seeing is third-party risk elevates higher because now when you're downloading a page off of a website, they can put extra links in to go grab additional files that maybe their vendor created, and maybe one of the other managers or attackers has updated the DLLs so that the software Is hold on 1 second. What? Yeah, they can come in. So where was I? Seeing all of the countries that are inside helps to identify, do I need to have a connection with China and who's doing it? Before then, it took volumes of data and countless hours from professionals to dig out what happened during that day when you guys were asleep or on vacation. Or maybe you were in the office and just didn't see it happening. This is a demo of the ITS SAFE cybersecurity solution. Happy to have you take a look at our demo. Are there any questions at this time? Well, that's our close. So here's the bottom line. Traditional tools are outdated. ITS SAFE gives you real-time, continuous, automated protection. If you want to stop attacks, not just read about them later, let's talk. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help. Thank you very much. Have a great day.